dependence, Professor Joshi, on coal is certainly not going to come down just like that.
Not only going to come down, we are a very marginal player in the product manufactured goods or the finished goods. In the export market also, we are at the lower end of the value chain, or in the global value chains, we are almost nowhere in most industries. If this manufacturing is to increase in this country, the demand is again going to rise for coal and the whole energy sector. If you go to the energy sector, you find the largest number of people without electricity. If they are in any country, it is India. We have got 700 million people who are living without electricity in this country. So I think the demand is going to increase, as I think we are going to keep pace with the development. The demand is going to increase as we are going to, you talked of the trade deficit, to reduce the trade deficit, to reduce the import. Import, basically we are having of two things. If you remove gold, it is only the energy and the manufactured sector. And so I think we need to find out a long-term solution. One kind of a solution is, improve our legislation domestically and, manage the supply chains and the mines and all those things. But I think a long-term solution for this is, there is no shortcut now, that we also need to scout for the energy sources outside India, wherein the government of India has to actively facilitate outward foreign direct investment, like we have done in case of ONGC. China, you are aware of, the most of the Chinese FDI in Africa and Latin America and some other developing countries is that of resource seeking, wherein they are taking ownership of the gold, the mines, and more importantly is the oil, energy and coals also. So I think we also, apart from the domestic things, we also need to think, it's a high time we need to think about outward FDI in any country we get, the resources for coal, the resources for oil, and I think because that account for about 70% of the trade deficit.
In fact, our import from Iran has increased. There have been about a 38% increase because oil import is largely, as you said, comes from the Middle East. And its usage is also, that has been expanding because agriculture again is affected. You need oil there, you need diesel supply there and certain other things, and then you have requirements in towns and cities too.
So, and the curbing oil import will not help. Oil import is another thing which is inflexible. Inflexible in terms of the demand, and then it is going to increase with our increased industrial activity which goes on. Iran, incidentally, we are in a win-win situation because Iran is a country which is isolated with the West, and therefore we enjoy good relations. Iran, you are aware of that, we are having a long-standing problems in Pakistan of that, the gas pipeline. If we have that gas pipeline, the cost of that importing oil would be, substantially reduced. So I think we need to focus on coal and oil, finding the cheapest sources on the earth to import. And B is the government also should very actively facilitate Indian companies to acquire resources in energy sector, the coal, and like you are aware of ONGC. ONGC have gone abroad, but ONGC have gone, we are a very late entrant into the market. Indian Oil Corporation, which is among the Fortune 500 companies, a few Fortune 500 companies in this country, IOC international is much later, and it has a very marginal presence in the international exploration.
We have the trade policy in all, Professor Joshi, if one really looks at it, is it just about the food grain aspect where we need to really revisit the trade policy, or do you think much has to be done on at a broader scale, on a broader scale, to improve the state of affairs? Because going by what we have gathered so far in the debate is the fact that we are importing a lot of manufacturing goods that we really need because there is a demand in the country, which can be seen also as a positive sign, as Professor Bhanumurthy also said. But the export also has to improve. So do you think that there's a need for revisiting our trade policy?
Certainly. India, I think one thing we need to keep in mind is, you are talking about the food grains. We are one of the largest producers in most agriculture products, but at the same time India is a great market also. India being the largest producer of milk in the world, we are also the largest consumer of milk in the world.
That's true.
New Zealand, which produces 1/7 of milk, they are the largest exporter of milk in the world, accounting for about 18-19% of the milk.
We are
So I
also
think
largest wastaging country also.
no, wastaging country is one that I think we are talking, which is over talked again. 25 to 40% gets wasted.
No calculation.
And I think we have discussed on the various channels where
And
we
we
were
live in a
talking.
country where people don't get adequate amount of food to eat.
That's
They
right.
die of hunger.
Absolutely
So even
right.
if we are producers, we are consumers. Not all of us are consumers, I would say.
Absolutely right. And therefore, I think one thing you talk of the trade policy, what we require in the trade policy is only a limited intervention by the government. Our basic problem, you talk of agriculture. Agriculture, the demand fluctuation is because most of the product that they supply are in the commodity form. You talk a small product like maize. Maize, America is the largest producer in the world. They produce 44% of the maize of the world. China imports 50% of the maize of the world. So, that is the size of the market. And therefore, in most markets, we are very marginal players. We can only be, if A is in terms of the policy measures, we go by the value-added products. The value-added products, there are 2-3 types of policy measures. One policy measure is to give the input for manufacturing duty-free. So I think the duty component is not there. We have got measures like, we had EPCG schemes, we have schemes for duty drawback, but I think the hassle of the scheme, and we had a scheme like export-oriented units. We also had, that export-oriented scheme, we have even a better scheme. The free trade zones, India was probably the initial first 2-3 countries in the world when we started FTZs. We came out with the SEZs now, special economic zones. Special economic zones in India have gone, over hundreds. China even now has got less than a dozen SEZs.
Right.
But
our
Chinese
SEZs are not well performing. I mean,
No,
as compared to China.
now, well performing
has been so
in terms of the total exports, the SEZ, the figures will give you that SEZs are performing
That's
well.
right.
But SEZs, the Indian companies have entered into SEZs primarily to take the incentives rather than infrastructure.
But you have to continue provide them incentives, otherwise why would I mean, the
Incentives you
entire
have to provide, but at the same time what we need to focus is, developing infrastructure. The basic purpose of SEZs was to give these people the world-class infrastructure. That I think we lack. We need to give the infrastructure support. Another problem in the India's export, in the policy measures was that of the exports. If you look into China, 20-25% of the inland transport takes place through the river system.
the river system.
In
True.
India, after independence, rather than developing the river transport system, we have killed it virtually.
yeah.